The 1966 Daytona 500 marked the return of the Dodge and Plymouth teams. The Great American Race's popularity continued to grow, and ABC's Wide World of Sports sent veteran sportscaster Kurt Gowdy to cover the event.
Hello, everybody, from Daytona Beach, Florida. The event, the Daytona 500, the World Series of stock car racing. This event is only 8 years old, but as you can see him back at me at part of the packed stands, this event has grown so much in popularity and stature that today the largest sports crowd in the history of the South, 90,000, may be here to watch the world's fastest cars and top drivers.
The ban on hemi engines, instituted in 1965, had been relaxed to allow their use with certain limitations. Chris Economaki explained the impact this had on the 1966 race.
Well, the most significant aspect of today's 500-mile race is the return of the Chrysler Corporation cars to competition after a one-year layoff because their Hemi head engines were banned. The speeds have gone up, the interest has gone up, the field is bigger.
And that field included some of the biggest names in racing. 1964 winner Richard Petty was hoping to be the first repeat winner as he held the pole position at the start of the race.
Official start. Richard Petty in the lead. Paul Goldsmith is second. Early lap here of the Daytona 500. 31-degree bank turn. The world's fastest track. They'll be hitting 180, 185 on these straights.
But the increase in speed was just one of the exciting stories. Unscheduled pit stops would become a major factor in this race.
Here's our first pit stop. And this is quite a driver, Ned Jarrett, 34 years old from Camden, South Carolina. He's one of 5 drivers who won the NASCAR national title. This is not an ordinary driver here in the first unscheduled pit stop.
Well, he certainly is an ordinary driver, and this is unscheduled. It's a little too quick. Looks as though he's probably got a tire problem.
Jarrett was the first to be affected, but as the race went on, the problems with the tires became more evident. Even the leader, Richard Petty, had to pit early.
Yeah, they're changing the tires on the right side. Got a really competent pit crew. Looks like they're holding him. They're going to change the tires on the left side.
Very unusual here, isn't it, this early?
Yes, it is. Actually, they must have some kind of a tire problem. Otherwise, they wouldn't be changing the inside tires this early in the race.
Here's a Darrell Derringer coming in for an unscheduled pit stop. What's the matter with him?
Well, I would imagine the same thing wrong with everybody else. They must be having some tire problems. Maybe they're chunking a little bit.
Tire problems for some were opportunities for others as the new leaders emerged.
Paul Goldsmith, driving a 65 Plymouth, is in the lead here in the Daytona 500.
Actually, he has a very comfortable lead, too, because with Richard Petty in the pits for almost 2 laps, he's got a pretty good lead.
Uh-oh, here's a spin. That's Mario Andretti, the young 25-year-old driver. There goes the leader, Goldsmith, into the pit after Andretti is spun. So we'll have a new leader. That's Paul Goldsmith now for a scheduled pit stop. And now a new leader. This is Dick Hutchison.
Yes, Dick's been driving a really fine race. He was never worse than 4th, and he's driven a very consistent race and now has inherited the lead.
As Hutcherson led, the cause of the tire problems became more obvious in the pits.
So now look at these tires.
Yes, this is, I think, probably what's been happening. The tires, because of the width and because of the tremendous speed and heat, have begun to chunk a little bit, and you can see big pieces of rubber out of the middle of that tire, and that's what caused the problem in the early pit stop.
It was also causing problems out on the track as pieces of rubber began to litter the raceway.
Here's the leader now, Hutchison, coming into the pit. There's his pit crew going to work.
Dick Hutcherson was the first car out of the race because of a broken windshield.
I hate to say it because it's a little thing like a windshield. A piece of tire come off of her to piece of car and broke my windshield, and it just started coming out, and there wasn't nothing I could do about it.
The race continued with new leaders, while others who lost laps in the pits were fighting to get back in it.
And here's a new leader now, Cale Yarborough, number 27, driving a 66 Ford. Yarborough from Timmonsville, South Carolina. Here's the second place car, Jim Hurtubise, driving a Plymouth. And there's Marvin Pants of Daytona. He's driving a Ford. He's third. Paul Goldsmith moving right back into contention.
Paul's had to make an extra pit stop, but at the speed he's running, he'll be back up there before too long.
Here's the sixth car now, Richard Petty, the favorite in this race. Right now, he's running sixth. Goldsmith now is charging for third. And he's coming strong. Look at him weave. He is now taking third here in the Daytona 500. He has passed Marvin Pants.
Looks to me like Paul Goldsmith's car is probably the fastest car on the track.
When Gordon Johncock took an unscheduled pit stop, the problem again was the tires.
They're changing the inside tires, which is unusual. And here you can see the amount of rubber that's out of that tire, and a piece like that is what could have put the windshield out of Dick Hutchison's car.
Meanwhile, the original leaders of this race made their way back to the front. But it wouldn't last long. A number of cars would soon fall victim to the chunking tires, including Paul Goldsmith's.
All right, Chris, here's another car in trouble. This is Paul Goldsmith's car.
Yes, I think perhaps the chunking of those tires has created a situation where probably he lost a drive shaft or a universal joint.
Coming in here now is Marvin Pants, and he has a broken windshield. Another windshield has been broken. That flying rubber off these tires that are shredding rubber.
Somehow, despite all of the cars that were casualties of the tire problems, Richard Petty managed to avoid incident by rim riding. He rode the high groove on the track to take a lead of more than a lap.
The leader, Richard Petty, holds the record here for a full 500-mile race, 154 and 3,500 miles per hour. And there's Petty lapping Dave Pearson now. He's 2 laps up on him now. Now, what he has to do is stay out of trouble, right? Petty has his father rooting for him. His dad won this event, the first 500. That was back in 1959. Richard Petty won the Daytona 500 in 1964. So he'd be the first to ever win it twice if he could hold on to this lead.
Richard Petty's luck continued, and the skies opened up.
The weather, as you can see now, is bad as a yellow flag. They're driving now on a wet track, and they slowed them down. Richard Petty is the leader, and they have a shortened race here. And now the white flag's up, one more lap. Petty's going to average over 160 miles an hour in this race, but in a short race, his record will not count.
The race was shortened 2 laps, but the victory was still sweet for the King, the first repeat winner in the history of the Daytona 500.
Petty's about to win his second Daytona 500. He's coming to the finish line. He'll win over $30,000 in prize money. And there's the checkered flag. Richard Petty wins the Daytona 500. Great comeback for the Plymouth. They were barred last year with a hemi head. And here they are winning the first major race of 1966.